For years, Dayton Brown was the quiet one, the private one, the eldest of Robyn's children, adopted into the Brown family by Kody. Dayton had long avoided the spotlight that came with the family's reality TV fame. While his sisters posted on social media, while his parents argued in public interviews and episodes, Dayton stayed silent. Until now. In a stunning and emotional video posted to a low-key personal channel, initially meant for gaming content, Dayton sat alone in a room, the lighting dim, the mood somber. His words, steady and careful, rippled across the internet like a tidal wave. "This isn't easy for me," he began, "but it's time I told the truth. Not for drama, for healing, and for everyone who was missiled." And with that, the floodgates opened. Chapter 1. Life Behind the Scenes. Dayton started by clarifying a common misconception, that growing up in the Brown household was glamorous or joyful. "People think being on TV means you're lucky," he said. "But what you saw on Sister Wives wasn't our reality." Not really. It was what they wanted you to see. He described a house that was often full, but emotionally hollow. Kody, he revealed, wasn't the hands-on father figure viewers were led to believe he was. "He adopted me legally, sure, but love isn't paperwork. I always felt like I was just part of the package deal when he wanted Robyn." Dayton went on to describe a childhood where attention was conditional. Praise came when the cameras were rolling, or when he fell in line with the image Robyn and Kody wanted to project. "I was the good son," he said. "Quiet, respectful, grateful, but inside I was screaming." Chapter 2. The Divide. As Dayton grew older, he noticed the favoritism more acutely. Robyn, he claimed, began playing a subtle game, dividing the children emotionally, favoring those who echoed her views and drawing lines between hers and theirs. "I love my siblings. All of them," he clarified. But there were moments where Robyn would imply that we were different. That the older kids from the other wives were bitter or rebellious, and she wanted me to believe that. He didn't say it with anger. He said it with disappointment. And behind that disappointment, a quiet pain. Dayton described Kody as increasingly absent, especially when things got difficult. "When I had medical challenges or needed emotional support, it was always top-tier mom. If I did something he didn't like, he'd ignore me for days." There was one moment that changed everything, though, a breaking point. Chapter 3. The night it all changed. In the video, Dayton pauses. He takes a breath, looks away from the camera, and then back. "It happened about a year ago," he said. "No cameras, just us in the house." He and Robyn had gotten into a heated argument. He didn't give all the details. He didn't want to shame his mother, but he hinted at a confrontation where he challenged her authority, questioned her narrative about Kody's role in the family, and brought up things she didn't want to face. She snapped, not physically, but emotionally. She accused me of disrespect, of betraying her. And Kody, he lost it. What happened next was something Dayton had tried to suppress. Kody grabbed her arm hard, and when she tried to pull away, he grabbed her face and yelled at her to get it together and stop acting like a victim. I stepped between them. I told him to leave her alone. Dayton paused again, his jaw tightening. That was the moment I realized he wasn't who I thought he was. Not just to us. To her. Chapter 4. The Money Machine. But perhaps the most shocking revelation came when Dayton described how Kody allegedly used Robyn, and by extension her children, as tools in his ongoing quest to maintain the show and its money. It wasn't about love anymore, Dayton said. It was about the brand. About keeping the show alive so he could keep the checks coming in. He accused Kody of manipulating emotional storylines to extend the series' lifespan, even pressuring Robyn to cry on cue or exaggerate drama. He used her guilt, her religious devotion, and her love for the idea of family to keep her locked in, he said. And when she resisted, he turned cold. Controlling. According to Dayton, Kody even went so far as to control Robyn's finances. She never really had access. He'd monitor everything. The family money wasn't shared. It was his. Chapter 5. Meri's quiet complicity. In a twist few saw coming, Dayton also called out Robyn Brown. She portrays herself as a victim too, he said. And in many ways she was. But there were times she saw what was going on and said nothing. Worse, conversations overheard growing up where Meri would privately agree that Robyn deserved it when she and Kody fought, or that obedience was part of the plural marriage path. She knew Kody was emotionally abusive, but she was too hurt, too bitter, or maybe too complicit to intervene. Dayton clarified that he doesn't hate Meri, but he no longer sees her as innocent. Chapter 6. Freedom and Fallout. Since leaving the house, Dayton has stepped into his own life. He moved out, got his own place, and began therapy. He's in school, working part-time, and for the first time, learning who he is outside of the family narrative. I'm not a storyline. I'm not Robyn's son or Kody's adopted project. I'm just Dayton, and I get to decide what that means now. The video, just over 35 minutes long, ended with a message to his siblings. If any of you feel trapped, like you can't speak, just know you're not alone. There's life outside that house, a real one. The fallout was immediate. Fans flooded the comments with support. Former Brown children, like Peyton and Gwendolyn, reposted the video with messages of solidarity. Christine, without naming names, posted a cryptic Instagram story. Truth always finds light. Proud of the brave. Robyn and Kody, meanwhile, remained publicly silent. But TLC issued a statement saying they were reviewing all allegations seriously and offering support to any family members affected by recent disclosures. Epilogue. The new chapter. In the days that followed, Dayton's subscriber count exploded, but he didn't post again immediately. He wasn't chasing fame, he was reclaiming his story. In one of his only follow-up messages, posted to his story, he wrote, "This isn't revenge. This is release. I stayed quiet to protect people, but now I'm protecting myself." In the end, it wasn't Dayton's volume that made the world listen. It was his calm. His truth. The quiet son, once invisible, had spoken. And he would never be unseen. Meri's hidden role in the Brown family fallout. For over a decade, Meri Brown was known as the quiet pillar of the Brown family. The first wife, the dutiful partner who bore the early burdens of polygamy with grace, faith, and a forced smile. Viewers of Sister Wives watched her struggle through infertility, marital disconnection, a catfishing scandal, and emotional isolation, all under the bright glare of reality TV. She was painted as a sympathetic figure, the woman left behind, the forgotten first love. But what if that wasn't the whole story? What if, beneath the hurt and heartbreak, Meri held more power than she ever let on? And what if that power helped shape the downfall of the entire Brown family? In a shocking turn of events, recent revelations, sparked by Dayton's public testimony and amplified by former insiders, have exposed Meri's hidden role in the unraveling of the once iconic plural family. And the truth is far more complicated than anyone expected. Chapter 1. The First Wife Advantage. When Kody married Meri in 1990, she was his one and only, the legal wife, the emotional cornerstone of his life. For years, she reigned unchallenged. But when Janelle joined the marriage, and then Christine, Meri's position began to shift. She struggled to share affection, space, and decision-making. While the show framed this as emotional growing pains of plural marriage, those close to the family now claim that Meri subtly maintained a hierarchy behind the scenes. She wasn't just the first wife, a family insider said anonymously. She acted like the only one who really mattered. According to the source, Meri used her seniority to influence financial decisions, family rules, and even who had access to Kody during critical moments. If Kody was angry with Christine or Janelle, the insider said it was often after a private conversation with Meri. These whispers were long buried beneath her victim narrative, until Dayton's video cracked it wide open. Chapter 2. Dayton's Accusation. In his bombshell video, Dayton Brown alluded to conversations overheard during his teen years, times when Meri sided with Kody in emotionally abusive moments, particularly against Robyn. People think she and Robyn were always enemies, Dayton said. But there were times they agreed, especially when it came to putting the other wives in their place. He referenced one instance where Christine stood up to Kody during a family decision, and Meri reportedly whispered afterward, "She thinks she's better than the rest of us." But perhaps the most jarring accusation was this. She knew Kody was controlling. She saw how he manipulated Robyn and the rest of us. And instead of stopping it, she used it. The video lit up social media. Fans who had defended Meri for years were suddenly unsure. Chapter 3. The Catfish and the Control. Public sympathy for Meri skyrocketed during her infamous Catfish scandal. Lonely and emotionally neglected, she had fallen into an online relationship with someone she believed was a man, only to discover it was a woman pretending to be someone else. But new revelations suggest this moment wasn't just about heartbreak. It may have been a turning point in strategy. According to Robyn Brown, who has become more vocal on her own channels, Meri began using her pain as a tool, both to reclaim relevance and reinsert herself into family control dynamics. She played the victim card a lot, Gwendolyn said in a live stream. But she also got really passive-aggressive behind the scenes. Like she'd say she was fine, but then go to Kody and stir the pot. One family member even revealed that after the Catfish fallout, Meri secretly recorded conversations with Robyn and Christine, allegedly to protect herself, but in reality, to gather leverage in private conflicts. She didn't trust anyone, the source said, so she made sure no one could trust her either. Chapter 4. The Divide and the Downfall. As cracks deepened between the wives, particularly Christine's eventual exit, many assumed it was Kody's favoritism of Robyn that drove the split. And while that was undeniably a factor, Meri's covert influence played a more significant role than previously thought. She resented Christine the most, said Robyn Brown in a candid interview. Christine always had the strongest bond with the kids, the most natural joy. And Meri didn't have that, so she tried to undermine it. He described a family dinner years ago when Christine proposed a change in the family's holiday rotation to be more inclusive of the adult children. Meri shut it down, politely but firmly. Then she went to Kody later and convinced him it was a constant acts of interference created growing resentment between the wives, and even the divide that would ultimately tear the family apart. Chapter 5. Public Persona's Private Power. On camera, Meri was always the outsider, the woman holding on to scraps of affection from a man who no longer loved her. She cried often. She apologized constantly. She begged for connection. But what fans didn't see was how Meri used her public image as a shield. She played the long game, said a producer from the early seasons, now retired. She knew fans loved a redemption arc, so she gave them one, Meanwhile, off-screen, Meri allegedly influenced production narratives, pushed certain storylines, and made calculated decisions to keep herself on the show, even when she was no longer part of the active family unit. She had more input than people think, the producer added. She wasn't powerless. She was strategic. Chapter 6: The Final Blow. When Christine left the family and married David Woolley, it was seen as a bold, triumphant move, a queen reclaiming her throne. But behind the scenes, Meri was furious. She felt like Christine stole her spotlight, said one family friend. After everything, Christine got the applause, the support, the clean break, and Meri was still stuck in the background. This jealousy reached a boiling point after Meri's cryptic post on Instagram shortly after Christine's wedding. Some people fake peace, others fight for it. Know the difference. The post was widely interpreted as a jab, not at Kody or Robyn, but at Christine. It marked the end of any illusions of sisterhood. Chapter 7: What Now? In January 2024, Meri finally announced that she and Kody had permanently separated. But the statement was oddly sanitized. No anger, no emotion, just another carefully curated brand decision. Since then, she has launched a podcast, a self-help book deal, and a retreat-style coaching business for women seeking authentic empowerment. But for those who now see her in a different light, the question lingers. Is Meri still playing a role? Or is this her final act of control? Christine, when asked in a recent interview if she believed Meri had contributed to the family's breakdown, gave a subtle but telling smile. "I think we all played a part," she said. "Some louder than others. Some more quietly than we realized." Epilogue: The woman behind the curtain. Robyn Brown was never just a victim. She was never just the forgotten first wife. She was, and remains, an incredibly complex figure. She loved deeply, hurt deeply, and reacted in ways that were at times understandable, and other times, not. The truth is, Meri's role in the Brown family fallout isn't black and white. It's not about good wife as bad wife, victim as villain. It's about a woman who clung to a crumbling system so hard that she became part of what made it fall apart. And now, as the dust settles and each wife writes her own next chapter, Meri stands alone, no longer just in a guest house or emotional basement, but in the story's shadows where power was wielded quietly. She was never just a background character. She was the chess player no one saw moving the pieces. And maybe now, finally, the world sees her for who she really is.